Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up your ringside seat, get your sodas, your popcorn, your whiskey, everything you need, because this shit's getting expensive.
I advise you get your wallet, you grab a credit card, because hell, we're going to have to start charging y'all out here, because hell, this attended wrestling events is starting to get a little pricey here.
Ooh, it is breaking my wallet. I'm BMW'd in. I'm telling you, it's going downhill fast.
Yeah, it's getting rough. I mean, after going to Backlash this week, and then WWE was nice enough to tout the highest grossing, Backlash in all of history. And I'm like, you know what? There ain't that many more people in this building than there was last year at Backlash. How the hell is this the highest gross? And I realized when I looked at how much my ticket cost this year, I said, well, damn, my ticket didn't cost this much last year. What the hell is happening now? Obviously, because we got the WWE endorsement, we get a discount on all our stuff, but it ain't big enough of a discount to not make me notice a spin it.
No. So as you can tell, our topic for today is corporate greed. But before we get to our topic, got to get to our sponsor.
Right, so we got to pay our bills.
Got to pay our bills.
Yeah.
Today's sponsor, Eagle Rare, aged 10 years from the fine folks at Buffalo Trace.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a classic there. I mean, Eagle Rare has been through a few times on this panel. So At this point now, they're definitely one of the standbys. They're almost like the Blue Chew of the whiskey world for us now.
So cheers to Eagle Rare.
Definitely.
Good whiskey.
Yeah.
Love that whiskey.
That and the fact that we've been tasting, we were sipping a little while we were prepping. So, I mean, definitely that first initial hit's already gone now.
All right. So before we get to our topic, we got to talk about Backlash real quick. Just one match.
Yeah, that's really all.
Just one match.
That's all we need to talk about, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about Big Match John versus the RKO Randy Orton. Let's talk about this match for a minute. Was it everything you thought it was going to be?
So, considering as we were reminded that they had wrestled 93 times before over the 22 years or 25 years that they shared a wrestling ring together, so for the very last time, I thought they could have went bigger, but they're both not spring chickens no more, and they both, no matter than more than others, would understand you don't have to necessarily go bigger to get the point across.
Right.
So I feel like they dialed it to where they needed to make sure everybody came out healthy and everybody was safe to continue working. I think they gave us enough though to make it memorable enough as a last match.
Was the 872,348 finishers acceptable in this match?
I mean, so that's the way of wrestling right now. That, unfortunately, and everybody listening knows my take on this. It's like, damn, less is more, right? I remember way back in season 1 of this show saying that repeatedly. Less is more. We don't need to have 15 RKOs. We don't need to have 25 AAs. But again, because these guys are pros and they've done it long enough, I think they factored in, ref bumps and all the other nonsense that they could. I think they factored enough of that in to take away from the fact that they were just kicking out of every finish. I think they took that out of it, took it away from him. I don't know how John Cena's new finish, though, is run across the ring and slightly cock you with a belt, in the forehead ever so gently, and then take the pin. I don't know how that became the finish, but okay.
Well, there's the part of that finish that you missed. I thought you got there, though, when you said cock, but you didn't. You didn't go there.
No, so that's the signature move. Right? I'm talking about the finisher move.
Yeah, the low blow. So there's 2 RKOs that came out of this match that were beautiful to see. The first RKO was when John Cena tried to AA him, but Randy turned it into an RKO.
Well, luckily they played the replay on that.
Yeah, because we didn't catch it.
Nobody caught that live. I'm sitting there like, wait, why is Randy rolling around? What the hell happened here? They're just like, whoa, that was creative as hell.
The second one was when John was doing the 5-knuckle shuffle setup, and Randy caught him in the shoulder block for the RKO.
Yep. That was very cool too.
That was cool.
Although I must say another standout for me was Hurricane and Nick Aldis and all the other capable wrestlers, Jamie Noble, all the other capable wrestlers taking one too. I noticed Jason Jordan wasn't out there.
No, Jason Jordan, he left. He was
those days are done.
So Randy, I think you now either owe Nick Aldis some more money, or Nick's about to take a pound of flesh, because I think Nick's about tired of you RKO.
Yeah, you ain't gonna drop him on his face over and over again, and he never retaliates. I mean, come on now. I don't know why they didn't do it at Mania. You know, I feel like that could have been a bigger match than Joe Hendry, but again, we don't know the end game of the story, so we kind of got to sit back and let it play out.
The way that I've heard it told was Randy was pushing for Joe, and if the cards wasn't going to line up, it would have been Nick.
Well, that's fair.
They had a plan B.
That's fair.
Which would have made sense if they had to fall back.
If Randy wanted to get exposure to a young talent like Joe, I mean, hey, we appreciated it in the moment.
Absolutely.
3.5 minutes. I mean, hell, think about all the money Randy made for 3.5 minutes and, introducing a young guy to the world on a WrestleMania stage.
Yep.
At this point in his career, that is what it's all about is, let me expose you guys to something new.
Right.
And the fact that he did that and accomplished it well, hey, I take it.
So we called the ref bumps. We knew all of that was coming. We about called R-Truth running down there. We didn't exactly get him out before he ran down there, but R-Truth did come out and actually won the match for John.
I mean, you realize R-Truth was this month's Travis Scott, right?
He was. He was.
They found so, and it's Triple H booking, so we know what he did. Yeah. He's like, we need a black rapper quick. And R-Truth happened to be in the building. He's like, oh, hell, you got one.
You fit the profile.
Like, we got one already.
No, man.
R-Token. I mean, R-Truth. Yeah, he came out and did his thing. He went, well, I'll pick up for a minute. He came out and did his thing. He even found a way to get involved in the post show to do his thing again.
R-Token. Yeah. He's already the black guy. Now he's R-Token. Yeah,
right. I mean, they had him there. It was like plug and play, right? They're like, oh, hell, we got one. Oh, good. We forget paying Travis Scott again. We don't need I show speed. We don't need we got one of those guys.
Truth. If you're hanging around the studio, come on, drop by. We got some questions.
Maybe don't drop by this week though, because that comment don't necessarily go over the best in mixed companies. So now I can explain it and I can say it because hell, I think it's funny as hell. But he might not appreciate it so much. So yeah, hang out where you at. Stay on the other side of Charlotte this month. Catch me next week.
But speaking of R-Truth. So he came into the press conference. First off, the ball's on John Cena interrupting Triple H.
Yeah.
First off, I mean, damn, John, you got grapefruit. So
yeah, damn. I mean, hey, he's the last real champion.
The last real champion.
If you're gonna be that guy, you do what you damn well please.
Yep. So he comes in, interrupts Triple H in the press conference, sit down, and he feels like, okay, I've slighted the media. I've got to, if I'm going to be the last real champion, I need to open up and answer some of you guys' questions. And here comes Truth congratulating him. And Truth cracked John. John hit it very well. Yeah. He hit it very well. Yeah. He cracked John. I don't think John saw that coming as far as like the opening part.
Yeah,
no. I don't think he saw that coming. But anyhow, so basically John told Truth, I'm done, man. This is uncalled for. Look, this is it. You say one more thing, it's on.
Yeah,
I mean it's over.
And watching John trying to get serious. Well, he wanted to break out laughing. That was pushing, but I mean that shows his chops as an actor, right?
Yep. So Truth,
much like what I just gave you, and you cracked completely. I mean, you fell completely.
I was Humpty Dumpty. I'm sorry.
My bad. But as Truth would say, my bad.
My bad. But Truth being Truth, he had to say that one more thing, and then John. Man of his word, hustle, loyalty, respect.
Yeah.
Man of his word, put Truth through the table. We called it. We knew it was coming. It was all going to go down. We saw it coming a mile away. But what I do see coming a mile away, Truth going to get John in a match.
What?
Yep. No. Truth getting John in a match.
And where are we doing this?
Saturday night's main event.
On 2K25? I don't think.
Speaking of which, the patch just dropped today. Go out there and download it, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Although you won't be getting your surprise character, which I think will be Travis Scott.
No,
so let's go back into what I'm saying.
Travis.
Let's release Travis Scott. Let's get him out there.
It got confirmed today. Unfortunately, it's no better than Travis Scott. It's KSI.
Who?
KSI.
Yeah,
in the prime outfit.
Scott.
In the prime bottle outfit at that.
Much rather would have had Travis Scott. God. At least then we would have got the new hardcore belt out of the creation.
That
of
is not
Scott.
a hardcore belt, sir.
That's definitely a hardcore belt. Yeah.
No.
It lives in the exact same vein of the original hardcore belt.
No, sir.
It's a cracked WWE championship that we don't use anymore that got hardcore taped over it. That's all the requirements you need.
No.
That is your new hardcore champion.
If they're going to bring that hardcore championship belt back, I better start seeing some damn good hardcore championship matches.
Yeah, we ain't gonna see that.
See, that's why I'm saying that.
Throwing truth through the table is about as hardcore as we're getting these days.
But anyhow, so John leaves the press conference, leaving Truth through the table. Kathy Kelly caught up with Truth afterwards. Truth didn't even know it happened.
Yeah,
Truth said, what happened? He did that to who? To me? I went through a table. Let me go find him. We got to talk this out.
Yeah.
Truth never breaks character. Thank you, Truth, for being who you are. We appreciate everything that you do, because in a world of sometimes that is just going to shit, you are a bright spot, and you will always be a bright spot.
Absolutely. And anytime they need a black rapper, our token will be available.
So John came out of this thing smelling like roses. Couple things happened though with John as he exited the arena. You could kind of tell some things were going through his mind. The crowd, even though it had already went off the air, I believe WWE.com showed some some behind the scenes footage. The crowd started chanting, "Thank you, John," as he was walking out.
And he broke.
So look, so yeah, we know Heel John is the persona we see on TV, but as we've called it before here on the Bookers Alliance podcast, this is John's love letter to professional wrestling and us fans. Yeah. He's given us finally what we never got, and he's playing it to perfection.
Yeah, and the fact that he recognized that the fans are realizing what is and what isn't, necessarily story versus reality. Yeah. I think that's why he broke, because I think it hit him like, hey, they get it.
Yeah.
They appreciate what I'm doing, and it's making an impact. Damn. I mean, you can't ask for much better.
Yep. So that's what happened between John and Randy. Was it the greatest match ever?
Well, so no, Randy and Edge had that in an empty arena. Remember, they had the best wrestling match ever.
I think that was the one that was won by backslide, wasn't it?
Yeah, something. Yeah. I mean, but it had to be because of technical wrestling. But I think after that, I think Randy told him, "Look, we're never doing no more of that best nonsense again. Let's just have a match. Whatever happens, happens."
Right. Just like they weren't having the last match ever again, but they did.
So they had that, I think 8 years ago or something along those lines. 2017, I think they had the last match ever. But as Vince used to say, nobody remembers all that.
Never say
except
never.
the Bookers Alliance. So we're here to keep reminding.
Correct.
Sorry about your damn luck.
All right. Let's get into our topics. Talk about sorry about your damn luck. All right. Corporate greed.
That's sorry about your damn luck.
So this is coming from a interview piece that TKO president John Shapiro put out, talking about, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I'm not going to quote it word for word. If y'all all got access to the internet, go out there and look it up. So paraphrasing here, he basically says, hey, we're happy right now with how things are going. We're happy with ticket sales, merch sales. We're happy with all of this going on with the event fees. We're happy with the cities kind of bidding on, us to come in and do our thing. We're happy with all of that right now. And WWE is only going to go up and forward. And when I heard that, my initial opinion was, good on you. My initial opinion. Good on you. Hell yeah. Y'all have taken a product that was floundering. Y'all have taken something that basically, for better or for worse, Vince McMahon was killing. It was dying on the vine, and we were watching it as fans die on the vine. We were watching it die so hard, we wanted to turn to a different product just to get our wrestling back.
Yeah. How'd that turn out?
Yeah. It's also dying.
Yeah, it's now dying. Same fine.
So that was my gut reaction.
Okay. You want to hear my gut reaction?
Yep.
So when you sent me the article and I read it, the first thing I thought when I read that same line, where they're like, "Oh, we're happy with where things are," things like that, I said, you know what? No shit. I bet the hell you are.
I bet you are.
Just like Walmart's happy, just like Amazon's happy, just like all the companies in the business right now are happy as hell that inflation's high and people are poor and struggling to keep up. Now, granted, wrestling isn't necessarily the grocery store. It's not a must-have. It is a luxury. It is entertainment. It is an external form of, satisfaction that people get. So it's not required to do it. But the fact being, if we're the loyal fans, we stuck with you through thick and thin. Don't gouge us now when you get the chance to do it. I mean, God, you're running the risk of making the product inaccessible to fans that actually give a damn about it, right? Yeah, you're always going to get Mania. You're always going to get people from all across the world that come to Mania, right? And they don't do house shows anymore. So they don't really have to worry about, are we going to, can we get, 18,000 people in Poughkeepsie on a Thursday night? That's not their world anymore. I get that. But at some point, and AEW's feeling that right now, at some point, if the product isn't, cutting edge, if it isn't at lightning speed, if business gets a little bit slow, you're going to have to rely on those long-term loyal fans that never turn their back on you. And if they're priced out, hey, they're going to get into that way of thinking of, I remember when the tickets to the old show up the road used to be $30. Now I'm paying $300 for the equivalent of a house show. It's not worth it. I watch it on TV for free. You don't want to start to create that world because, as we found out during pandemic years, without the fans in the building, wrestling suffers. So if you start taking, wrestling to the point where it's a expense to go and it's a burden to go, people just won't go. I mean, let's be honest. If we weren't getting the endorsements that we're getting right now, would we be at every event that we're at?
No,
absolutely not. There's no way I'm traveling to Perth to go to Crown Jewel. I'm not doing it. They can pay the way they can do. I'm not staying on no plane 13 hours to go. I'm not doing it. I'll never make it. I'm sorry, guys. That show won't be live. We won't have in-place results from it because I ain't going. But also, if we went, the trip, the hotel, the ticket, the food, the expenses, and all that would probably cost us like $3,000 or $4,000 a piece. And in today's climate, I'm not willing to just drop $3,000 or $4,000 for a weekend at wrestling. That ain't me this weekend. They'll have a local show here for free somewhere I can go check out and actually see the workers that are doing it for chump change, that do it for the love of the business. I'll go see them that weekend.
So, as I sat with that article for a while, my feelings started to turn the direction that you're describing. I sat with it first. Like I said, initial gut reaction was good on you. Freaking awesome. Great. Y'all are killing it. Good for the talent. Talent's making bank. Great. But what about the fans?
Yeah.
What about the blue collar people that are working your 9-to-5s, working your intense labor jobs, wanting to take the family out for a night of entertainment at a WWE live event?
Yep.
What about those people? So when you start looking at certain things, WrestleMania, ticket prices for WrestleMania, nosebleed seats. This was in a stadium. Nosebleed seats in a stadium.
So yeah, you're virtually a mile away from the action.
$800.
Yeah. Now, granted, the day of Mania, you could get them for like $3, but that's bad on them. But yeah, if you bought them, but when you were supposed to,
right?
Yeah, that's an arm and a leg.
But this ain't going to an NFL game, looking at 100-yard field below you where both teams are running up and down it,
right?
To where you do feel closeness to the action at sometimes because they're in maybe your end zone or you're at the 50-yard line. This is sitting nosebleed in a football stadium, looking at a 20 by 20 ring.
You're looking at a 20 by 20 box, which means if you're in those nosebleed sections, you're legit watching TV.
Yep.
I mean, you're watching whatever big screen they got in the building because there's no chance in hell, as Vince would say, that you're seeing what's happening in the ring. And if you are, it looks worse than an 8-bit video game.
Yep. T-shirt. Used to be, you wanted a Roman Reigns T-shirt? $19.99.
I remember when Hulk Hogan's T-shirt used to be $10.
$10.
And that was an expense. It was like $10.
And you could get it at your local Kmart.
Yeah.
$10, right? Roman Reigns t-shirt for the one he wears on TV right now.
Yep.
$45. Plus taxes.
Right. I
plus
was
shipping.
going to say, if you're not at the physical show, you still got to pay taxes and shipping.
Right.
And handling, because for whatever reason, WWE.com still thinks handling's a thing.
By the time you buy that t-shirt's now $60.
Right. And that's a t-shirt.
T-shirt.
And then you're going to wear that thing maybe 2 summers. And then that it's gone. You know, it's a piece of history that you're gonna fold up and put up somewhere, or it might be rags. You know, but it's $60.
Now y'all may be looking at, but Marky Mark, but Frank, they run sales all the time. I see these coupon codes on every Raw, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view. Oh, you put this in, you get 25-30% off. Not on everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on the newest stuff.
All that new release stuff, they got that excluded specifically.
Little Johnny want that new Roman Reigns, that new Cody t-shirt.
Yeah,
Little Johnny ain't gonna get that without paying that full-fledged price.
You're dropping not just an allowance, you're dropping a day's work for some people. I mean, you're paying a hefty pay.
Yep.
Now, keep it in mind, like you said, originally you thought good on you, but then you came around to my way of thinking. And we got to, obviously be transparent with our fans, because that's what we do. That's because you're rich. So you have no qualms about $60 t-shirts and $500. I mean, you guys don't know, like, the business Marky Mark runs on the side, so we're not going to get into that. But I mean, we like Conrad's always talking about, his mortgage business. Marky Mark's got that beat by shades. I mean, Conrad's like chump shades to him. So he don't care. Now me, remember, I'm just talent. I get paid a small stipend to come in and do my work every week. I mean, it's probably just enough to cover my gas. So the endorsements are what help me, because they say, hey, we'll get you a ticket to the event. And, but I'm always in nosebleeds. Marky Mark's in a suite. So, we never get to watch the show together. So we text. I mean, we always text it. But he's in a luxury box suite. I'm in like the 200 section. Some arenas, the 500s. It's okay, though. I'm not shading it. I'm just saying.
How freaking dare you about make me spit my whiskey?
I mean, I wanted to see if I could pop you twice, right? And I almost got it. I got it twice in a row. So.
Have you ever shot whiskey out your nose?
No,
sir?
I have not.
That bird's like hell. Don't ever do that to somebody.
That's something that we didn't come up with shooting whiskey out our nose. That's not our thing.
Oh my God, y'all, your boy about went to the hospital. I about went to my local medical facility.
Yeah, we had to go to your local medical facility.
Please, so no, there is no rich man sitting across from Frank. That's for damn sure. Because if I was rich, trust me, the quality of this podcast,
we wouldn't be doing this particular episode.
Better.
Yeah, we'd be broadcasting.
We'd be interviewing Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah, I was going to say we'd be broadcasting from Stone Cold's bunker and Broken Skull Ranch and all that. Yeah. So now, when we get the endorsements correct, when we finally get all that stuff situated, when our producer actually, I think he's skimming off the top. We're going to look. We're going to check the books. I think he's cooking the books. But when we get the endorsements and all that lined up, we will get to that point sometime. I mean, for the millions of y'all that are listening, if you could all refer a friend, and then we get millions upon millions, that'll get us there a lot faster. But I mean, help us out.
Help us out. Help your boys out.
Our GoFundMe is never mind.
So, going back to our topic here, corporate greed. The other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick, after I sat with this long enough, he mentioned something. He mentioned event fees.
Yeah.
And so, look, I don't know how many of y'all tried to go out to a live event or to a concert or to anything here lately, but there's something out there called dynamic pricing that's going on right now. Now, look, this ain't directed at nobody but you, Ticketmaster, because y'all are the ones that are doing this. So, everybody, when you rush to go buy that ticket, when it first goes on sale, and you realize that you're standing in a virtual queue with 10,000 other people that it talks about, y'all do realize that they go, 10,000?
Yeah.
These are the prices we can charge.
We crank those up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's called dynamic pricing. Now, y'all sit on y'all's ass, wait until the last minute to buy those tickets.
Then they have reverse dynamic pricing.
They drop the hell out of those.
Right, that's when they're handing them out at the door. Give me a Coke can. I remember. So I'm old enough that I remember going to Bulls games in the Chicago Stadium, where you legit would take a Pepsi can, and on the back of it, it had free admission on the back of a can. Where all you did was take an uncrushed can, or maybe like you donated 5 cans of canned goods, and you would get to go to a game now. So we're not only speaking about wrestling, it's not like all sports aren't ridiculously expensive nowadays. But our podcast is wrestling, so we're going to keep the focus there.
Right.
I remember I've got ticket stubs from going to WrestleMania in Chicago where I was in the 100 level. So, I was a step up from the floor, second row, step up on the floor in one of the corners, $200 for that ticket. Now, today, $10,000 for that
Easy.
ticket. What in the hell kind of inflation is that?
Yeah, easy.
That was only 20 years ago. That's insane to be, to tell a person instead of, you going for what at that time was probably, 2 days work, maybe a day and a half of work back then, to tell it that now I've got to take out a personal loan. Come on now.
Ringside seat packages for Backlash, not WrestleMania. Backlash, we're going for 40 grand.
That's insane.
That is crazy.
For 40 grand, I need to be in the ring. I need to be, everything I own signed.
Frank said he needs to be in the ring getting pinned by Alexa Bliss.
Or Liv, either way. Maybe Rhea. I don't know. I like Rhea's pin style.
There you go.
I like her pin style, so maybe.
That's called pegging, sir.
Yeah. I was gonna say I've never done it the reverse way, so I don't know how. But I feel like if anybody could help me down that path, it'd be Rhea. So yeah,
ask Buddy.
Yeah, basically, he's getting his shoulders are on the mat. Mommy's always on.
Mommy's on top. So, look, it's a combination between the promoter and the event site that the fans are just getting raked over the coals with trying to get to these events. But not only that. So you made a comment during Backlash when we got in the arena. You looked at the ring and you saw it was in the middle of the ring. So elaborate
Morgan
on that.
and Morgan.
Elaborate on that.
It's the law firm commercial you see on your TV on random occasions, which now there's a full promotion. I noticed on Raw. They're now the official corporate law attorney partner of WWE, which with all that Vince and them got going on, they need a fucking partner in there in the legal team. So I ain't mad at that. They need something better than Morgan and Morgan. Because I found it ironic that they're an injury attorney firm, and I'm like, well, hell, we got an injury every week here. Maybe if you unionize the wrestlers, they could actually make a lawsuit with Morgan.
Hello.
But I digress to that conversation. We're not trying to get WWE canceled. We're still trying to get signed. So we'll pretend I didn't say that, but let's not pretend it doesn't exist.
So, look, it all started when Vince sold the company.
Vince rolled over in his grave when he saw those logos on the thing. Vince is still alive, but his soul's been dead for years. Yeah. So his soul rolled over in its grave 10 times over when he saw those logos.
So the old saying goes was Vince looked at that canvas as sacred.
Yeah.
And look, okay, I kind of get it. I kind of get where he's coming from. That's an old school mentality. I completely understand it. It was his house at that point in time, right? He can do whatever he wanted, right?
Yep.
So we started seeing the cracks in the foundation of that house, though, as we went along. We never got the sponsorships in the ring. But how many of you remember the first time you saw a WrestleMania match presented by Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Or Snickers.
When the whole ringside, top of the ring, ramp, ring post, everything that was digital had the logo on it. And the first time I saw it, it was, for me, I remember it being Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I believe it was in a Rey Mysterio match.
Something like that.
At WrestleMania. I about threw the freak up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that looks horrible.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't like the look, but I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Dude, that's the best cereal.
Same as Snickers. It kind of put that in my mind like, hey.
I need some Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Right. So I can't fault them for the branding and the advertising. They nailed it because they took a bunch of fat wrestling fans and said, hey, what about Snickers and Cinnamon Toast Crunch? And we was like, ooh, Snickers. And then we got the Homer Simpson drool going on, and then we all went and found our damn Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So I'm not mad at the idea, but on top of that, think about the LA Knight Bray Wyatt match.
Oh, yeah.
That was a legit
Code
wrestling
Black
commercial.
Yeah.
They literally made the same damn commercial that they used to put on TV and did it in the ring in an event. So it was starting to creep its way in under Vince. Vince wasn't immune to it, but again, he took the ring is sacred. Yeah. We'll do whatever we want on the outside of the ring because that is what it is, but the ring is sacred. But when I saw all the logos on the Backlash, and then in the middle, you see a big ass Morgan and Morgan. The first thing I thought, because this is the way my mind works, is if somebody was smart, they'd lay over the M's and just make it Organ and Organ. And you know, and if they were really thinking ahead, they would have found like Alexa Bliss to do and positioned her just appropriately, where her top half was over one organ and her bottom half was over the other organ. I mean, that would have been ironic. It would have been classic advertising that only a sicko like me would have got, but it would have been great.
So look, I'm gonna play Harvey Dent, as we were referencing some earlier conversations. I'm gonna play Two-Face real quick.
All right.
So I'm a UFC fan. I'm used to the advertising.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is where they got this from.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a TKO staple.
Yeah, it doesn't.
TKO doesn't see any real estate that's not for sale.
So, I mean, there's been a monster logo in the middle of the UFC mat for years. Now, granted, that also caused some controversy, as some of the fighters were slipping on it once upon a time.
Yeah.
They had to get the texture of the logo correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, at WWE, by the time they got in, they had fixed that. Right. So we didn't have that concern.
And so look, it started out with the Prime logo being in the middle of the ring with Logan Paul. He was, on-air talent. I got it. It was cool. Backlash. I don't know if it was just...
Well, they went over the edge.
I don't know if it was the freaking color of the logo or
bright
what. It was just in your face, and it was like, ugh. Why? Why did we have to go there? And then this
then they had all the other logos surrounding it. They basically took the pay-per-view logo, it had a center logo, and then they took the Raw logo, the Raw ring that has all the other logos, and they just merged it together. Made it a mishmash.
And then you got a logo on every turnbuckle.
Yeah.
You got Prime. You got all kinds of crap on the turnbuckles.
You got Prime on the side. The announcers are over there drinking branded products and
Randy
all that.
Orton took his wig and said, "This shit's horrible."
Yeah. Which that popped me. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And it's too expensive while we're on the same topic there.
So look, I get it. I get what TKO is trying to do. And I'm not even going to reference this as WWE. I don't believe this is WWE.
No.
This is TKO.
Yeah, this is TKO. I mean, WWE's benefiting from it,
right.
But at the end of the day, this is a TKO image. This is their branded. This is their branded model, and they've merged it into the company they own to draw revenue. I get it. The same way as you said, I get it. But if we're drawing revenue from these companies, we're drawing revenue from all these advertisers. We're drawing revenue every which way we go. Do we really also need to gouge the wrestling fan that, the dad that wants to take his 2 kids to wrestling? Now it's going to cost him well over $2,000 to get in the wrestling event for 3 people. Do we really need to push it that far while we're already making revenue hand over foot on every other angle of the building and the business?
One other angle that I want to take with this and talk about real quick when it comes to the company making the profit that they're profiting. If you guys, I can't speak to this because I'm a fan. I am not a talent of WWE. I'm a fan.
Well, I'm a talent here, so I could probably speak to it. I mean, but you're a boss, so I mean,
if you guys aren't trickling down this revenue to your talent, you guys are sorry pieces of shit.
Well, we know it's trickling down to the top of that bottleneck that we always refer to.
So that's here's the thing. So it came out in another article this week that a lot of wrestlers came out and said that, yeah, this is true. AEW apparently pays for the travel and lodging of their stars.
Mm-hmm.
WWE does not.
They never have.
Why? If you're making this much money, why can't you start that process?
Because they pay the talent that much money. I mean, a start-off contract at WWE is like over $200,000, right? The reason they pay them that kind of money is to factor in travel and hotels. Now, upside of it, because they don't do house shows anymore. I mean, you got to remember, back then they used to do house shows. They had, they were on the road 300 days out of the year. All of that came out of their pockets then. But back then they also used to make commissions, kind of, I guess you would call it, off their like merch sales and all that. But I mean, think back, there's a lot of guys who left WWE because they said at the end of the day, there was more month than money. I don't know if anybody's heard that saying, but there's more month than there is money. There were guys that were getting their money on the 1st, and by the 20th, they flat broke. And they were like, damn, I can't even afford to go to the next event, or I got to, bunk in with a buddy, or I got to ride with somebody, blah, 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 to cover those expenses. But yeah, unless you are top tier talent, I mean, and I'm talking Roman level,
right,
Cody level, transportation's never been paid for that. It's always been on their own dime.
I just feel like if you're raking in every PLE gets followed up by the press conference. We've shattered this record. We've broke that record. We've set a new gate. We've set a new in-arena attendance. Look, you're making money hand over fist.
Yep.
Granted, again, going back to my gut reaction, good on you.
Yeah.
Freaking that is amazing.
That's how rich people think. Yeah. That tracks.
Just make sure that these gains are being appropriated down to the people that you're building this off the backs of.
So that's not how rich people think. So you were born in 1980, right?
Yes.
Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980.
Yes.
Both of you said the same thing just now. The money should trickle down to everybody.
It should.
No, it never is. It never has. It never will. Because just like with every good bottle, it's gonna bottleneck. Well, at the bottom is just a big like this bottle we got here, right? Mm-hmm. At the bottom, it's all equal and it's all wide, right? What's happening at the top? It's real thin and it's real right. So that means only a few bodies are getting into that neck, and they're the ones that are going to get all that trickle down. Now, whatever they cast off or whatever slips through the cracks, that's what the rest of the bottle gets, right?
Yep.
That's how trickle down works. I mean, we don't want to get political and all that. We're not gonna avoid that, but we all know, at least hopefully everybody that's listening knows, trickle down is not intended to work. It's intended to give you
hope.
Right.
Give you the illusion
hope
of it working.
Right. It's the concept of working, but it's definitely never going to work. I mean, and WWE's no different. At the end of the day, yeah, they, like I said, your Romans, your Codys, your top guys, yeah, they're getting all the proceeds from that top of the bottle work. They say Roman's making $10 million a year, something like that. A guy like Steve Austin would say, what? When he hears something like that, he's like, he's making how much?
Yeah, Steve never made that much.
No, and Steve did. Well, Steve worked 340 days a year, and he never made $10 million.
One of the biggest merchandise movers
exactly.
ever.
So when a guy like him hears that, literally his initial reaction is, what? I mean, because what else are you going to say? But you got guys down at the, let's talk about some of the releases, right? Braun Strowman legit got released because they said they didn't think he was giving them enough for the amount of money they were paying him. You got some of your lower level talent, your NXT talent, who got released because, hey, we had to pay a Malachi Black, or we had to pay Jeff Cobb, or we had to pay whoever else we're bringing in now. Well, so that means some people got to go. Well, no, if you're bringing in the kind of money that you're actually bringing in, they didn't need to go for financial reasons. Now, if you weren't using them, if the creative wasn't working for them, that's a different conversation.
Right.
But you shouldn't be telling anybody.
Not for monetary or budget cuts.
You shouldn't be telling anybody on the roster that this was a budget deal.
Yeah.
Because, again, like you said, you're raking the fans over the coals to bring in more money than you've ever brought in your life. You can definitely afford to pay the wrestlers all a fair wage, not discretionary.
Yep. So here's what I would love to see TKO do with all this stuff that they've got going on. I would love to see them take all these profits, everything that's going on, right? Give us fans something different. Give us a wrestling startup that is WWE, but is a completely different product altogether. Give us a wrestling that is ECW. Give us a wrestling that is Lucha Underground. Give us something completely 180 different from Evolve, NXT, SmackDown, and Raw.
Okay.
That's what I would love to see these guys do with the profits.
You know what my response is going to be?
What's that?
Give them time, and they're going to buy all those companies. So inevitably, you'll get it because they're going to swallow up all those
corporate greed.
They're going to swallow up all those companies, much like AAA went. Many more will fall among the few years. Many more will fall, and they will give you all that with a WWE stamp on the logo.
So as the boss of this show, so you say I led the talent
Absolutely.
right into that scenario.
Yeah. and as the talent, I say, please let the money trickle down past you guys up at the top. The office doesn't have to keep 90% of the proceeds and give just Frank the 10. I mean, we don't have to be 50-50, but 80, 70, 30 wouldn't be bad, right?
Yep. So yeah, so I mean, tell us what you guys think about on this topic. This is an interesting topic. This is more of a business-oriented topic than it is a wrestling-oriented topic.
It is, but I think it applies much to real life too.
It does.
Because I mean, there are fans that are out there making these exact decisions right now. Can I afford to go to the event that's going to be local in my town this week, or do I got to put food on the table?
Yep.
And when you start getting into that kind of way of thinking, inevitably them hard decisions are going to get made, and there's going to be a wrestling fan that's diehard for it that just can't go. And I just don't want to see the business go that way.
Yeah, because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to burn this guys out.
Yeah. The well's going to dry up.
And we've seen it happen before. I don't want to see it happen again. I like the current state of what WWE has given us as fans, even though some people are shitting all over Triple H's booking. And hey, look, that's okay. That's your opinion.
Yeah.
That you're free to have that opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, your opinion might be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
my opinion.
It can get there. I mean, there are moments where even we say, damn, this is predictable now. You know, it's
i.e. the Backlash ending.
Exactly.
That was predictable.
The entire Backlash card. I mean, I feel like nothing surprised us. Jeff Carr, we knew he was coming a mile away.
Yep.
But that argument exists. Like I said, I still live on the whole give it time thing.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, like you said, their finances don't have that kind of time. So I get it.
So thank you for listening to our topic today. Like I said, this might be a little out of the norm, but it applies. And it definitely can apply to everyday wrestling fans. But go out on our social media platforms, drop us a line, tell us what you think. Are we out of touch? Are we off base with this? Or are you feeling it too as a fan? You know, are you like, damn, I'd love to take my family, but I can't afford $200 a seat. Yeah. Tell us what you think. But with that, everybody, we appreciate you listening to our episode, and we bid you adieu.
Peace. Hope they don't tell us about the tariffs.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.